The year isn't quite over, but when it comes to me riding new roller coaster, that time has come and gone. 2026 will be here shortly, and there's a slew of roller coasters I'm eager to check out. But first, let's take a look back at all the roller coasters I got in 2025 that exceeded my expectations, met them, or fell flat. Before we get to my list, please do me a favor by clicking on that like button. Newcomers to my channel that love roller coasters and theme parks, be sure to follow. First up, let's talk about the roller coasters that met my expectations. Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure. Let's be honest here, no one was clamoring for a limited capacity attraction to find its way to Six Flags Great Adventure, which is one of the busiest Six Flags parks in the chain. The park just lost King to cost, so this wasn't exactly the exciting roller coaster to get everybody pumped up to go back to Six Flags. Flash is a fun, multi-launching roller coaster that is supposed to be the spiritual successor to Vekoma's already popular Boomerang roller coaster. The ride is loaded with fun elements, including vertical spikes, inversions, airtime, and tons of hang time. The onboard audio is a nice addition that pushes this coaster up a notch. As I already said though, its main downfall is the capacity. The line starts to stack up fast and will stay that way for the entire day. Alpenfury at Canada's Wonderland. For some, this was the best new roller coaster of 2025. The ride stirred up a ton of buzz for the park, boosting their attendance mid-summer. When we visited the park, which was over Alpenfury's opening weekend, the line found itself wrapping around all the way to the fountains at the front of the park. The roller coaster is a powerhouse of a ride, featuring 2 launches that have a nice kick and a slew of inversions. RCDB says 7, but I'm sticking with the park and claiming Alpenfury pulls off 9 inversions, making it a record holder for a launch coaster. The ride is balls to the wall insanity. The pacing never lets up until you find yourself back in the station. For the majority of the ride, you will have a hard time figuring out which way is up as you flip and roll your way through 1 kilometer of track. The reason why I said it met my expectations is after watching the POVs and seeing the animation, I knew this was going to be a crazy coaster ride that would rival Maverick at Cedar Point. Alpenfury is hopefully the start of a new generation of roller coasters from Premier Rides, a feature I'm looking forward to experience. Okay, now a few coasters that were disappointments. Minecart Madness at Epic Universe. I'm not sure why I expected more of this ride, but was slightly disappointed by its new concept of creating a set of fake tracks that the roller coaster pretends to jump on and off throughout the ride. Don't get me wrong, Minecart Madness is still a fun roller coaster, a solid family roller coaster that has stellar theming, but that's exactly what it is. I was hoping their new hidden track would add a little more surprise and flair, but instead feels more like another Wild Mouse type of coaster. The capacity is also another issue, especially for a park that has over 30,000 visitors a day. The line for this ride backs up the moment the park opens and will never let up. Of course, I would love to ride this roller coaster again, but if the line is hitting that 2-hour mark, I'll spend my time elsewhere. Rapterra at King's Dominion. I was hoping this roller coaster would be the return of B&M. Instead, it doubled down on everything that has been plaguing this manufacturer since 2020. The ride, though still fun, shakes worse than a B&M coaster that was built 20 years ago. The layout tries to branch off from the typical mold that B&M loves to use, but instead finds themselves with elements that don't quite live up to my expectations. The giant banked top hat at the beginning of the ride is fun, but again, nothing that feels crazy or innovative to keep Rapterra near the front of your brain, and that's exactly its problem. Rapterra is a forgettable ride almost the moment you leave King's Dominion. For most coaster enthusiasts, after getting their first couple rides on Rapterra, will move on to their already favorites in the park like Twisted Timbers or Pantherian. Okay, the coasters that exceeded my expectations. Big Bad Wolf: The Wolf's Revenge at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I knew it was only a family inverted roller coaster going in, so my expectations were set very low. On top of that, especially after riding Phoenix Rising a couple days prior, I was preparing myself for another Rattly ride by B&M. Well, Big Bad Wolf proved itself to be a worthy successor to the legendary OG and delivered a solid roller coaster experience. All my expectations were dashed. Big Bad Wolf is smooth, it's fun, the layout has a lot of good turns and twists that interact well with the little village created for the ride. Busch Gardens Williamsburg returned to their A-game, putting Pantheon behind them when it came to theming and went all out. There's a bunch of small little details that I love finding when I ride this coaster. The ride also learned from Phoenix Rising by including 2 trains, improving capacity. Hiccup's Wing Gliders at Epic Universe, another family roller coaster that knocked it out of the park. I thought looking over the layout, this would feel like a smaller, less exciting version of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure at Islands of Adventure. Instead, what we have here is a roller coaster that can stand on its 2 legs just fine, even if one of them is a peg leg. Anyways, Hiccup's Wing Gliders has a great story element that I didn't think would captivate me the way it did. The forces on the ride are also pretty good, a little airtime, some nice positives during the helix, but this is a family roller coaster that really focuses on the story, something that Universal Studios really exceeded at. In some ways, this became my favorite attraction in the park. Stardust Racers at Epic Universe. Let's hang around the same park as before and talk about their e-ticket attraction. Stardust Racers is the new Dueling Dragons, and after one ride, I let all my resentment towards Universal for tearing that classic coaster down and became obsessed with this new airtime machine. Stardust Racers has a bunch of surprises, like first up, a great launch. Mack Rides is known for building weak launches, but that is clearly not the case here. Stardust Racers has 2 launches, both are exciting and even have this second mini boost at the end of the launch track that will take you by surprise. The airtime is incredible, reminding me a lot of Rocky Mountain construction. Some of the airtime moments are really intense, rivaling the other beloved coaster at Universal, Velocicoaster. Well, Stardust Racer isn't quite as good as Velocicoaster, but what we have here is a solid racing roller coaster that has plenty of reasons to get back in line. Ride both sides multiple times and just enjoy the experience. Oh, and before I forget that celestial roll after the second launch, an incredible element that gets me every time. Okay, on to the next coaster. Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. I had a very hard time ranking this roller coaster or even figuring out where to include Siren's Curse in this video. Overall, this is a great roller coaster that continues to edge up my list after every ride. But that wasn't the case after my first ride. In fact, I was somewhat disappointed. I don't know if it was thinking that this would be a Maverick Killer, some crazy roller coaster that would take me by storm, but instead, what I got here was a solid ride that serves more as a high-end filler coaster. Well, that was my first ride in early summer. I went back to Cedar Point a month or so later, and my opinion completely changed. I found myself really loving Siren's Curse, dare I even say it's better than Maverick. The tilt drop is surprisingly not the highlight of the ride for me, but everything else that comes after. There are some excellent elements on Siren's Curse, including 2 corkscrews, a triple down, a couple of off-axis bunny hills that will show you the airtime. The theming started to grow on me more during my second visit. Even though I don't enjoy heavy metal, the music is a nice touch, and I love the sirens calling to you as you ascend the lift hill, probably my favorite thematic element of the ride. Even though this coaster can only handle 2 trains, Cedar Point was doing stellar work with their operations, sending the trains in a timely, efficient manner. Flash may have introduced me to the modern Vekoma coaster, but Siren's Curse turned me into a fanboy. Other manufacturers should be shaking in their boots because Vekoma has really brought their A-game. Well, that's gonna wrap up today's list. Tell me which roller coasters surprised you this year or let you down. Until next time, this is X Scream Thrills.